Welcome back to the last installment of Building an Incident Response Plan, Part 5, the final one, I promise. In this segment, we're going to take a look at the lessons learned and everything else that's involved in the lessons learned. We're also going to take a look at the first video I've ever cut that has a lessons learned attached to it from the Web Application Attack series that I will eventually build more information out on. So in this aspect, when we deal with the lessons learned, it's mostly to get the organization to understand what went wrong. And essentially what we're saying is these are the lessons that we've learned from what we've gone through with whatever we were supposed to do that didn't. So in a typical lessons learned, you're going to have a few key elements. The brief overview of the incident, what was affected, how long was it affected for, what systems, what versions of the systems, were there databases, what jurisdiction was it in, who presided over it. All that stuff is going to be present in it. Then we're going to have the steps that we took to contain or remediate the issue, what threat hunts we've done in order to find any issues that may have previously been undetected that we have to detect in order to move forward. We'll also detail how we rebuild and also the timeline of events for that. Then it'll be based on the recovery, what systems were recovered, what data did we need to recover or retort back to, what data was potentially lost, the timeline and rate of that recovery effort. Meaning, and I don't know why there was a typo in there, but I'm glad I caught it. Meaning, how long did it take, how much money did we spend, and what teams were engaged in order to do so. And the time the incident was remediated. And then essentially the summary part is for the C-level to charts and okay. It's the people that don't really understand tech that pretend that they do, so you gotta kind of like Crayola it for them. Because beautiful colors and pictures equal understanding. Who would have thought? So I've included a bunch of terms for mean time to recover, mean time to respond, mean time to remediate, and where that would basically fit in. I'm not going to go over all of them because it's like a page-and-a-half type of ordeal. Lessons learned are one of those things that you're going to want to have a record and a history of. And the reason why I say this is because if in the event you need to prove the evolution of how the system reacts to, responds to, and remediates from security events, incidents, or breaches, this would be basically your Bible in what the organization has done over time to remediate that. This could play into regulatory. This could also have an impact on insurance rates, potentially. I don't know too much. I don't deal with insurance. But it could give an insurer kind of a vantage point into how serious your organization is with security and how you handle security events so that they don't look at your organization and say, oh God, we're going to be paying out of pocket like a bad divorce. Nobody wants that. So in lessons learned, I kind of did a little breakdown on how you could set that up and what data you might want in there and what categories that, an incident, event, or breach could basically fall into and how to sort that data so you could access it and get to it quickly next time. Again, a lot of the data retention policies will end up coming to play with this, and it will essentially dictate how long you store that information for, if you store it indefinitely. Regulatory is also going to play in that. So the business continuity section will play another role in how you store data and for how long, because this will basically provide the roadmap of what you've done and continual improvements as issues arose. Also, the retention periods, depending on what's defining how long you keep data, is another one. And lessons learned and how you secure that data and how it's stored and who has access to it is a whole other ecosystem that I'll leave for another day. So delivery of lessons learned, we're basically going to highlight the incident types. Was it phishing? Was it business email compromise? Was it illegal access? Was it brand impact? All that's going to come into play when we do a lessons learned. And we're also going to need clear indicators supporting the evidence that we have that show that this was a potential, wasn't a potential, that this was in fact a breach. Also, what was impacted, was it the network, was it bandwidth, was it an endpoint, was it financial, what was impacted? Also, is it software tied to a specific incident, event, or breach? Geographic location, all of this comes into play, and also what languages are used. Lastly, it's going to be pretty much how we tracked and how we were alerted to it and how we need to fine-tune our investigation process or our alerting process. And then at the end of it, it's going to be what was blocked. Was the system quarantined? Were there IOCs that needed to be blocked? Was it a subnet that needed to be blocked? Only one case I've seen malware affect the subnet so bad that they had to quarantine all the boxes. So it was almost as if that subnet was in fact blocked or put into quarantine. Also, what needed to be restored on the system, was it a full image? Was it a database? Did we have to go back into a recovery? Was BCDR engaged? And all that good, cute stuff. Lastly, training and education and the training resources that go into the detection is going to be crucial, because what we learn from lessons learned, we also need to put into a practical type of situation where if we have analysts that are working specific incidents or events or a breach, they need to be up to date on the attack trends that are affecting the environment in order to adequately defend against it. And if we're not evolving the analysts that are looking at the alerts, we're going to set ourselves up for complete and utter failure. When we discuss how we implement training, we also need to put not only in place where the SOPs are located, the descriptions and how we go about remediating specific issues. So I know this wasn't really a long segment. It was rather short. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be giving you access to the lessons learned that I've done for the web application attack and defense. And I will also be providing you links to the incident response policy, so you could download that and edit it at will and how you need or how you see fit for your organization. If you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe, and we hope to see you back.